Hey everyone. One of the questions I get from people all the time, specifically our customers, is how do we create a good lead magnet? And so I am going to go over a lead magnet that I just created. We're having a lot of success with it. I posted it about 40 minutes ago, and then we're going to go into how we create these lead magnets. And so we're going to go through a little bit about my lead magnet and the success of it just to show you why lead magnets are important. But really, we're going to spend the rest of the video going over how we think through lead magnets. So here we go. Great. So for instance, this is a lead magnet that I came up with. And so one thing all of our customers always want is they want to target people who recently joined a company or recently got a promotion. And I created an offer around this that is highly scalable. It costs us a little bit of money, but it's highly valuable to the people that we're going to give it to. And so basically my offer is I'm monitoring these companies for all of their new hires. I'm going to update a Google Sheet for you. And every Monday, I'm going to email you with all of the updates that you can do whatever you will with all of those things. And then we also have this data down here too. And so I know it's sometimes tough for people to come up with lead magnets and they don't feel that it's the most important thing for them to do, but I just wanted to show you how important this is. So a lot of people will say, well, Eric, you posted this on social and you have a huge audience. So I posted it 39 minutes ago and it has 2,000 impressions. So, not the most amount of impressions in the world, who knows? We had Lucas like it. He's got 52,000 followers. So him liking it is probably going to boost us on the algorithm a little bit here. But so I took out everyone's email addresses and you could see the submitted at over here. So we have, I guess this is global time because it's definitely not 3:30 here. But basically we have it just from 3:30 global time to 3:55. We got like 34 leads. And then if we go over here, see in the time that I set up for this video, to now, we added another basically 28 leads because now we're at 62 people who have filled out the form. And so if it's not obvious to you, this is the power of a great lead magnet. I put something out into the world. I'm going to be completely honest. For those of you watching this right now, if you filled out the form today, I have only maybe built out the system to do this halfway. Maybe you could even say I'm a third of the way there. But I'm going to email everybody today and say that our first edition is going to come out next Monday. So I'm going to finish all this up today. And so I only did this, though, to show the power of how a great lead magnet can affect how easy it is for you to get leads. So now if I were running an outbound program, obviously I launched this on socials, but it's because it's way easier to launch it on social than cold email. But could you assume that if I were to take this and I were to put it out to people on cold email and not make any kind of ask, just ask them if they want to be a part of the newsletter, do you think people would take me up on this? I think people will. If you need me to prove it, I'll prove it a little bit later down the road, but that's not the focus of this video. So most of my customers come to me and they ask about how they can create lead magnets. And honestly, that's really tough for me because we have over 40 clients in the agency right now. And if we were to sit through and think about how we create a lead magnet for all of you, it would be a little bit tough. And the reason why it's tough is because great lead magnets come from knowing your customer exceptionally well, and nobody knows your customer as well as you do. So we're going to walk through Alex Hormozi's offer creation step by step, and that is going to serve as our framework for creating lead magnets. And then I'm going to go through it on my own because I know my customer really well. And hopefully you can use that to brainstorm things that you would want to do for your own customers as well, whether or not you're a customer of ours or you're using another agency or you're just getting started in cold email. And so I take no credit for coming up with any of these frameworks. This is all Alex Hormozi. If you've been following our stuff, we did an interview with him and I'm just a big fan. And so for those of you who say that you have an enterprise solution, it's really tough to get a lead magnet for these people. One piece of advice he gave me on the interview that we did together is he said, there's got to be one step that you do for everybody to just onboard them. And there's that aha moment that you give them after they pay. How can you bring that, until like before they pay? There's like this baseline that everybody goes through. And hopefully we'll go over this enough. And so when you're creating a lead magnet, in order to create a lead magnet, it's actually the same process of creating an offer as it is a lead magnet. The only thing with the lead magnet is you're not going to be charging any money. So that's why I always go to the offer framework that he goes over, because that's that's exactly how we create a lead magnet. So his steps to create your core offer, right? And for a lot of you, this is going to be a review, but I am fully transparent. I'm not coming up with this stuff. This is all Alex Hormozy stuff. And so I'm trying to zoom in, but maybe I fail at that. Okay, anyway, number one, create your core offer. What's their dream outcome? So dream outcome, problems and obstacles. List all problems as solutions. Okay, great. Maximize profit to value, and then find the high value, high profit offer stack. So then what we're going to do is we're going to maximize we're going to really maximize scale to value instead of profit to value. And so the reason I say that is because the offer that I made is highly scalable. It's going to take my assistant 20 minutes every Sunday to get that done, and then it goes out to everybody, right? If we were to offer something else that took like an hour of my time to fulfill on, yeah, it might be really, really valuable, but the juice might not be worth the squeeze when it comes to the other side. Maybe there's 10 companies in the world that I would make that offer to, and then we would work backwards from that. But we can, take a look at that a little bit later. And so final high value, high profit offer stack. So again, you're not talking about profit here, you're really talking about scale. So what's high value and high scale that you can kind of combine together, right? So create your offer components. This is all on his course, by the way. I just took screenshots so that I could write notes when we actually go through this. So first you want to define their dream outcome. And then you can list out every possible problem they encounter, every intricate step, all these things. What next problem are they going to face? How can you make it worth it? How can we make it easier? How can we make it faster? All these things, right? Use the delivery cube to think through ideas, list out every possible solution to those problems. Awesome, right? And then we have the delivery cube, which we're going to go over in a little bit. And so basically, so now we're just going to start typing down notes, right? So my customer's dream outcome is they want meetings booked on their calendar. So Growth Engine X dream outcome. Meetings booked on their calendar. So now I'll be upfront. The best offer that I could possibly make to somebody as a lead magnet is running a campaign for them, getting leads and delivering those leads in without ever speaking to them. So what I mean by this is the best offer I can make to somebody is I could run a campaign for somebody. Obviously, I wouldn't mention their name. I wouldn't forward back to them. I would just take their value proposition and just say, hey, if you have this problem, we could fix it for you, right? And if we do that, I got them leads. That's the greatest lead magnet I can possibly create, right? Is I go to them and I say, hey, I've already run this campaign for you. I already generated 7 leads. Would you want to see how I did it? And by the way, you can take the leads for free, right? Greatest offer that we could possibly do. Now, this comes into high value versus scale. This is the highest value thing that I could offer them, but I cannot offer this to everybody because it takes away from our scale and it's just really tough. If you're first getting started though, and you have time for this is the best thing that you can do if you're an agency, right? Or, think about what you would be able to do for your best customers if you're getting started as well. So other dream outcomes that they want is ability to run multiple experiments in order to test what works for their for generating customers, right? Now, this is something that we can dig into a little bit more. So a lot of my customers actually come to me because they don't know what works and they really don't believe that I'm going to wave a magic wand. Thank goodness. I'm not going to wave a magic wand and solve all of their growth problems for them as well. But what we can offer is we can run 9 tests in 3 weeks instead of, 2 tests in 3 weeks to see what's working for their audience. And that's a lot of times why people come and they hire us. So what is stopping them from running multiple experiments, right? Let's dive into this. So there's 3 things you need to run an outbound campaign. You need an email infrastructure. You need data and you need copywriting, right? And then maybe there's strategy as well, but we can get into that a little bit. So maybe 4 things, right? And so what is every problem? And I'm probably not going to write this out because I want to keep up with the cadence of the video, but what's every problem that they're going to have with an email infrastructure, right? So problems that they're going to have is they have low open rates. Another problem that they're going to have is they are sharing a domain for their regular communication with their prospecting. And so now their main domain is going to spam. They could have a problem where they're using a software like QuickMail, where they're spending $40 per inbox when really they should be spending a lot less. I don't know what their pricing is today. So let's just call it they're overspending on tech, right, for their email infrastructure. They could have another problem that it's not set up correctly. They could have another problem where Google is banning them over and over because they've improperly set things up and warmed them up. They don't know how to warm the emails. They don't know how to set up custom tracking domains. There's tons of problems that can come from this, right? And so then we can just flip it around and we say, okay, how do we solve these problems? So one is we could set up inboxes for them, right? And then the other one is we could teach them how to set up inboxes. We could rent out at cost our virtual assistants to build inboxes for them. We could pay for our virtual assistants to set up inboxes for them. What else? Like there's, we could give videos about this. There's all these different kinds of things that we'd be able to do to solve those problems. On the data side, they don't know how to even build a list. They don't know how to scrape LinkedIn. They don't know how to get valid email addresses. They don't know how to validate catch-all email addresses. They don't know how to build the list the way that they want. If they want a list of only SaaS companies, there's not a lot of companies that give you an account list based on SaaS companies, right? And so again, see how we could easily flip all of these things on their head. One workflow most of my customers want is they want to be able to email people who have recently started at a new job. I created a lead magnet that I'll give you everybody who recently started at the job so you can filter by title and all of that other information. Interesting, right? And so then copywriting. They don't even know what good copywriting looks like. They don't know what the angle looks like. They don't know the difference between Facebook ads and cold email copywriting. All these different things. What's a good strategy today? What's working? What's not? All these things that we'd be able to offer, right? And so then we can take all of these problems and flip them into those solutions, like I was saying. And so so my favorite lead magnets for people is to give away data. And the biggest criticism or response I get from my customers is that, hey, Eric, that's really easy for you to do because you have a tangible thing that is useful to just give away. But what if we don't have a tangible thing to give away to people? Like everything is paid when we get down to it, right? And so then we could focus more on the email infrastructure and the copywriting. Those aren't tangible, right? And so a good way to brainstorm the rest of these solutions is you can look at the delivery cube. Okay, so then we have the delivery cube where it's basically one-to-one, small group, one-to-many, and then the level of effort on their part, do it yourself, done with you, done for you. And then we have all of the support, and then we have the consumption types and the speed of convenience. So really, I'm going to focus on do it yourself, done with you, and done for you for all of these things. And so again, if we go into email infrastructure, right, one of the problems is that you don't know how to set up inboxes correctly. So do it yourself is I could send you a guide on how to set up your inboxes correctly, the same exact guide that we use. Done with you is I could give you access to the automation that we have that edits GoDaddy and pork bun domains, and then give you insight access to, hey, this is the automation that we use to set these things up. If you want to set it up, we'll support you a little bit to get you yourself set up, and then you'll be good from there. Or do it or done for you, where we could just set up emails completely for them, and we would just take it out of their hand, right? So that's one version of a lead magnet, going from highest scale to the least amount of scale, but it's also pretty valuable all the way to the most valuable, right? And then also notice how in this situation, since we've already built an automation, that done with you is pretty dang close to do it yourself, right? And so a lot of times when you build internal systems, those things could become assets that you could use to attract more people. And even though I kind of called it done with you, it's a little bit of do it yourself because we built that automation and things like that. And so see how it's the highest amount of scale, just giving out information, highest amount of scale. giving them the automation and getting them help set up on the automation might take 10 minutes to get them set up on the automation, right? And then there's doing it yourself, where doing it for them, where that would take the most amount of time. But obviously the value goes up every time that we lose out on scale as well. And so that's why you need to find this happy medium between scale and value, right? And so then copywriting, again, right off the top of my head, do it yourself. I built a 53-page document on how we think about copywriting and sequencing and experiments. We could give that to them. I also have built a bot that uses GPT-4 to come up with 7 versions of email 1, 3 versions of email 2, 2 versions of email 3, and we could give them access to that bot. And now I would definitely call that done with you, because we have costs to run that for GPT-4, and it's not the cheapest bot to run at scale. But that's another thing that we'd be able to offer to them. And then the last one, do it yourself. Done for you. We would actually go in and do, maybe they bring their copywriting and we do a 15-minute refresh of the copywriting with them, whatever it might be. Right. And so then data, I could go on and on about data. We could build a guide about, the best data sources for them to get access to. We could actually be giving them the data that we're doing here. We could build them custom lists. There's all these different kinds of things that you can do. And so my hope from this video is that you take a look at these things and really think about your customer as deeply as you possibly can, and use the same items or lessons that Alex Hormozi talks about when creating an offer, but do that with a lead magnet, and just replace your value to cost. So your profit to value, maximizing profit and value, and then maximizing value to scale. And then you just pick which one you need in order for your numbers to work out. And so I hope this was useful. And if you're a current customer of ours, message me about this and some lead magnet ideas that you've come up with. And if you are not a current customer, well, I hope this was useful to you as well.